You don't like the academics books, don't you? I believe that there are so many ways other than reading the whole Bible in order to learn new stuff. In this episode, I'm going to show you what is the dependency inversion and the dependency injection pattern and how to implement it in the real case scenario. Enjoy! Cut the chase. Dependency injection and dependency inversion. What it is and how to use it. Let's have a look at the code. We have a snippet. There we have the email service with one method send email and one argument email. It's dummy without the implementation. Plus, we have the user service class, one method register, one argument email. Implementation is simple. We are creating the new instance of the email service and sending the email. What could we improve? Here, we are creating the new instance of email service. Why is it bad? Because the code in this form is tying us between the classes. In case of need for changing the email service, for instance, we would like to send the SMS, not only the email, we would need to update the user service too. What can we do with it? Firstly, let's define the dependency injection in more human and understandable way. Let's introduce the three terms: have, borrow, and require. Dependency injection is changing the first term into the second one. But have a look at the example. So instead of saying I have so I write Porsche 911, we would say I borrow and write Porsche 911. Let's consider it as an advantage, because we don't need to own the car, we can borrow it, pay for the time we use Porsche and return when unused. Speaking of the code, in this case we will borrow the instance of the email service. We refactor our code a little bit. Email service stays as is, but the user service has been changed. As the constructor's argument, we are getting the email service instance, assigning it into the property and use it in the register method. What are the advantages of such a refactoring? Firstly, we just loosen the bonds between the classes. The second one is that we don't need to initiate the email service every time we want to send the email. In most of the cases, we can have just one instance and use it in the various places of the project. Dependency inversion sounds familiar, but do more. As we said, dependency injection changed the have to borrow. Now, the dependency inversion is giving us the ability to specify the need and let the work to some providing mechanism. Dependency inversion is changing the borrow to require. So instead of saying I borrow and write Porsche 911, we will say I want to write fast and luxury car. Some providing mechanism, based on the requirements we just specified, fast and luxury, will provide us the instance of it. Depends on the environment. In this case, car rental, based on the racetrack condition, will provide us Porsche or Aston Martin. Dependency inversion is part of the bigger concept, inversion of control, which is passing the control over the execution to the framework. That's why we don't need to think which implementation of a given specification, in this case interface, we will get. Let's get back to our code. Email service has been changed a little bit. We introduced the new interface, notification enable, which contains the method send with the arguments recipient and the message. Email service implements the interface, plus the method is no longer accepting the email as the argument. Instead of it, we can pass the arguments that corresponds with the interface. User service is no longer tied to the email service at all. We depend on the interface. We don't need to know which implementation is being used in the user service. Now, let's consider the business case. Imagine that our manager wants some change. We don't want to send the emails anymore, but the SMS instead. Luckily, we just changed our implementation a lot, so this feature will be very easy to deliver. By the way, the dependency inversion is solving as the D letter in the SOLID acronym, which you already know, or if not, you can learn about it in the other video in this channel. SOLID. S stands for the single responsibility, O open closed, L Liskov substitution principle, I interface segregation, and the D dependency inversion. Alright, we know what is the dependency injection, dependency inversion, and the inversion of control. How to combine it with Spring? Another refactoring round. Email service and the user service almost stays in touch. We annotated email service as the service. Thanks to that, the instance of this service is available in the context anywhere in the application. User service is annotated as the service too. Plus, for the constructor argument, we applied auto-wired annotation. It tells Spring that for this class instance creation, it needs to inject the instance of the notification label. The last change is that user service is implementing the CRUD service. CRUD service is not relevant for us here. We will use it in the next step. We created user controller and annotated as the REST controller. When the post request to the /user endpoint is being made, we use the user service, which is going to be injected as well. But because we just implemented CRUD service in the previous step, we don't need to use user service as the type for the constructor argument. We rely on the interface, so we followed the dependency inversion again. That's it. In this simple example, we implemented two patterns. Alright, we did some work. We refactored our code. We have more code. High price for nothing, you could say. But let's get back to our manager's requirement. As he said, we want to send the SMSs instead of the emails from now on. You, as the smart developer, you are able to find the weak spot here. Why we need to send the SMS from the test environment? Maybe it's not necessary. For sure, it's expensive. On the other hand, on the production environment, we will do what the manager wants from us. We can do it with a little help of the Spring again. Let's register two services, SMS service and the email service, but let's do it conditionally. As you can see, I use the ConditionalOnProperty annotation here. It helps us registering the beans by the condition. In this case, we are looking into the notification service configuration property. If it equals SMS, we register the SMS service. If it's email, we register the email service. On the both environments, the configuration will be different anyway. This way, on both environments, we will use the specific notification label implementation, depends on the need. We just covered the requirements to send the SMS messages from the prod environment, plus we will save a little money on the test environment by sending the emails. That's it, folks. We just took a journey through the concept of the dependency injection and the dependency inversion. We implemented it with the real case scenario. As you can see, the design patterns don't belong to the academic books only. We are looking at them every day at work. Let me know if you faced with such an implementation before. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and see you guys next week.